Our next speaker is Jaida Sen from Verimatrix, and she's going to be talking about how watermarking can fit into a robust content protection strategy. Thanks so much for joining us, Jaida.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for inviting me.
Good to have you here. Now, we all know that piracy continues to be a huge problem for the online video industry. And Jaita, maybe you could start things off by talking about just how big that problem is in monetary terms.
That's great. Let's look into some of the numbers. Just last year in North America, video access through illegal means attributed to around 8.4 billion dollars of losses. And we know that the OTT market is growing and it's expected to reach like $165 billion of industry by 2025. And interestingly, pirated video services accessed by consumers is projected to exceed to $67 billion by 2023. As we saw when the pandemic hit last year, just between February to March, when the stay-home orders came in, the online piracy rose to a huge extent. So these numbers are alarming, and content owners and operators are focused on detecting and reducing content piracy.
Those are huge numbers. Now, what role can watermarking play in detecting content piracy?
Um, that's a good question. I would recommend a comprehensive approach. So your conditional access system, your digital rights management system is making sure that the content is encrypted with the appropriate access rights. On top of that, if forensic watermarking provides an advanced security measure to trace content piracy. And if you combine that with a proactive piracy monitoring and quick extraction and then takedowns, together they can like address the content piracy problem. Now, content piracy is a problem for content owners, and content owners are investing significantly to produce premium high quality content with resolutions like Ultra HD, 4K, 8K, and then for content, for better consumer experience. And to maintain this steady flow of high quality content, they need to protect their revenue stream. Last year, as we were looking into a huge interest in watermarking from different aspects of the industry, we ran a survey and we wanted to validate what is going on with the video piracy and the concerns in the industry. And we got good participation from content owners, from streaming service providers. And the response was consistent that they want to stop piracy, they want faster detection and take legal actions, and then to protect their revenue stream. The interesting feedback we also got from participants who are not using watermarking, they're like unsure of the value watermarking provides. Let's look into some of the use cases or industry use cases that that we hear from. So we have our content owners and the studios. We always hear from them that they're doing the post-production, they're doing the edits, putting sound effects, visual effects, and getting the assets ready for distribution. And these are premium contents, and they don't want this to be stolen and released before even the official release date. That's a concern for content owners. Now, then we have the traditional broadcasters or ISPs, and they distribute programming through their they are now expanding the scope to go to the OTT apps, and they're opening up for legitimate streaming service providers like Amazon Prime, HBO Max, but then they also notice that their programming or content is getting stolen through illegal services, and that becomes a threat for them because these illegal services are making money out of their content, which they are not licensed to deliver. We also talk to streaming service providers, and that business is growing. They're trying to bridge the gap between traditional programming and viewing content anytime, everywhere model. And to acquire such premium quality content, they pay premium license fees to content owners and studios, and they want to protect their distribution channel and the content so that it doesn't get stolen. We also hear from like media supply chain platforms. They are pretty much building the infrastructure from post-production to delivery. And they need to make their platform secure enough so that content leak does not happen. Otherwise, they won't get the customers' trust to put their stream through their platform. So these are some of the interesting industry use cases that we hear from, and it's good. It's makes sense with
Sure.
watermarking.
Right, right. And like we were saying, it can be applied both client side or server side. Now, why don't you talk about how it's applied at the various stages of the workflow?
Sure. Let me start with a very high level video workflow, video
Mhm.
distribution workflow. So there are different components of the video distribution workflow, and it depends on the network. But since OTT is something in the forefront we are talking about, so let's highly go through the OTT streaming service provider. They acquire the license for the content from the content owners. Then they take it through different MPEG transport stream, does a bunch of processing through encoding, transcoding, and getting the compressed, the adaptive streams ready, the HLS and dash formats. And then they publish to the content delivery network, and they work with different variants of delivery networks so that they can distribute the content globally across different client devices. And then the content is ready for end consumers to consume. Now, there are certain vulnerabilities that we see. The content, when it's getting prepared, you will see that while the content is getting prepared, there can be content stolen, and it's published in the pirate sites, and that's not good for the content owners, because before they can make money off the content, it can get released. And then there is the traditional, like camcording through the back of the movie theater after
Right.
the content is getting released. And these are certain pain points or vulnerabilities that can be in the distribution channel. And as I said, as you asked, like where does client-side watermarking and server-side watermarking go? So there can be server-side watermarking, which can be applied at the production, like when the content is getting prepared to the content getting distributed. And then the client-side watermarking is more at the device level or at the player level. So these are like high-level 3 sections, I would say. We call it distribution-based server-side watermarking. What it does, it's embedding the distribution mark before like the encoding and transcoding, all the processing starts, so that when the content is getting distributed, there is a mark embedded, and if there is a leak, it can be traced back. We also can do a session-based watermarking from the server side. That's pretty much enabling creation of a unique playlist. So you pre-process the content, you create like 2 variants of certain segments of the content before it gets through the encoding, transcoding, and publishing the content. But when the end device is requesting, or the player is requesting for the content, and based on certain identifiers like that session or the device, the watermark can generate a unique playlist with the watermark. And then if it gets leaked, it can be traced from which session or when it was leaked. And then the last is the client side watermarking, which is again, it can be done at the device integrated with the chipset, where the watermark controller is running on a trusted environment, and the watermark is rendered when the content is decrypted for playback. And then it can also be at the player level, where media players are integrated with watermarking solution, and then the watermark is rendered during the content playing, like when the content is getting decrypted.
Is it a one or the other choice? Is it either or can watermarking be applied at both server side and client side in any given content platform's delivery strategy?
That's a very good question. And the short answer is no, you can apply watermarking
Okay.
from both client side and server side. And server side, client side, you already have the watermarking applied on the at the device level, and then you can apply the distribution mark so that you are covered both ends. Like when you are distributing the content, you're putting a mark, so you have the source of the piracy tracked by that way. And then at the target level on the client side, you have the watermarking and the target tracking.
Okay, very good. If people are interested in learning more about how to protect their content with watermarking, I assume they can contact Verimatrix.
Sure. Come talk to us. We would love to do some assessment of what kind of watermarking you need based on your video delivery pipeline and what you're trying to achieve. Go to our website at verimatrix.com/watermarking, send us an email, and we should be able to address the unique use cases that you have.
Terrific. Thanks so much. That was a wonderful overview of the different types of watermarking, where it can be applied, and how it can help detect content piracy. And again, thanks so much for joining us today, Jayita.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for inviting me again.